It spends its summer weekends blazing around racetracks across the country. But that doesn't mean this time attack Benz shouldn't look good too. Today we're going to find out if it's true that clean cars really do go faster. Welcome to 303 Car Care, I'm Bob Galuska. What we're driving and detailing today is a 2016 Mercedes AMG GTS Edition 1 that races in Grid Life's Track Battle Time Attack series. The Mercedes AMG GT models began production in 2015. They are only the second sports car developed entirely in-house at Mercedes. The AMG GT series is still being produced, but at this time the only trim available new is the AMG Black series. The GTS model like we have here put out 503 horsepower and 443 foot-pounds of torque from a twin-turbo 4.0-liter V8. This one has a bit more power than that, but we'll let the owner tell us a bit more about that later. What makes the GT platform unique is its front mid-engine design, and the turbochargers sit in the valley of the engine, designed to reduce turbo lag. We'll dive into more of that and learn about the car's owner and his cool family story in a bit, but first things first, let's get this thing dialed in. I'm joined by 303 brand manager DJ, who's going to be doing the detailing of the Mercedes today. You've done a walk around. What stands out?
So it's in pretty good condition, but there's a few things that we want to point out. Let's take a look. Because it is partially wrapped, anytime you're polishing on wraps or partial wraps, you want to make sure you stay away from the edge of the vinyl. Because it's raced pretty heavily, there's a lot of caked on brake dust, so we're going to be using our heavy duty wheel cleaner to remove that. We're going to give it a wash and use our spray and rinse ceramic sealant. That'll give it 6 months of protection, make it easy to use.
Awesome. Well, we want Cal to have the cleanest car at the track this weekend, so we better get to work.
So today we're going to be using the wheel and tire cleaner to clean the tires and the heavy duty wheel cleaner to clean the wheels. If you don't have any heavy brake dust, you can just use the wheel and tire cleaner. But because this is a race car and it has heavy track use, we're going to be using the wheel cleaner to remove that brake dust. So as you can see, there's a lot of purple runoff on the wheels from our wheel cleaner. Our heavy duty wheel cleaner is iron indicating, so it lets you know that it's removing those contaminants from the surface. So one of the unique things about our foam cannon is that you can adjust the level of foam using the knob on the top. You can increase or decrease the level of foam or bring it all the way down to water so that you can rinse the foam off the car without taking the foam cannon off your pressure washer wand. So now that we're done with a quick wash of the car, we're going to be claying it before we move on to polishing. So we're going to be using our clay mitt and our speed detailer as a lubricant. This just helps remove any contaminants from the paint before we polish it, making it easier so you're not rubbing those contaminants into the paint, causing it to be a longer process than it needs to be. So just like when you're polishing, when you're claying, you want to make sure you stay away from any of the edges on the vinyl wrap on the car. That just makes sure you don't damage them or peel them up from the car's surface. The paint was in pretty good condition to begin with, so we only had to do a quick one-step polish. The owner took pretty good care of it. He hand washed it instead of taking it through tunnel washes. It's a good way to keep swirl marks off your paint and makes a detailer's job pretty easy. For protection on the paint, we're going to be using our spray and rinse ceramic sealant. It's really quick and easy to use. Just wash the car, rinse the soap off, spray it on the wet surface, rinse the product for water activated 6 months of protection, and you're good to go. So we talked about protection. This side is unprotected, it's sheeting. This side is beading, that means it's protected, and it's gonna be easier to clean off, keep clean, and dry the car off. So now we're gonna demo the product. So spray and rinse is not only good on paint, but it's great for wheels too. It's a really quick solution to keep those wheels protected and keep brake dust off them and make them easier to clean. So now that we did the outside, we're moving to the inside. It's in really good shape, so we're just gonna steam clean it, hit the dash with interior cleaner and protectant, and then clean the seats with our 3-in-1 leather cleaner and conditioner.
That wraps up the work in the garage. About 4 hours to get this Time Attack Benz looking like new. DJ, any final thoughts?
Well, the car was in pretty good condition when it came in, so it was some easier work today. We coated it with spray and rinse ceramic sealant. Since it's a race car, we don't need to go all out with a ceramic coating or a graphene coating. The wheels look great. Overall, great work today, I think.
Yeah, looks fantastic. Okay, now we're gonna take it for a spin and find out more about the car, its owner, and his awesome family. We're joined now by Cal Fortner, 303 sponsored racing driver. He and his parents, Rich and Edie, have been traveling around to all the Grid Life events together since 2017. They purchased and started working on the Mercedes in 2022. Cal, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
So what's the hardest part about keeping this thing clean?
I would definitely say the wheels. Racing brake pads, they produce a ton of dust, and that's why I went with gray wheels on this car, because it kind of masks that a little bit, because it's impossible to keep them clean.
Ready to take it for a spin?
Oh, for sure.
Cool, let's go. Are really the main part of your race team. How is that for you, just hanging out with them on the weekends and them always being there to support you?
It's really fun, actually. They've always kind of supported me with whatever I've been interested in growing up.
So Cal was around cars his whole life, basically.
He was pushing a broom here when he
Yeah, he was pushing a broom.
5?
He was 5, sanding. He would kind of like,
we had the sweatshop going.
Yeah.
She'd be up in the office and he'd be back with me. And to keep him from running around, it's like, okay, here's a sander.
Yeah.
So he'd start sanding the hood.
Yeah. So as he got older, he started to notice more about cars. But he got into baseball, I know that. He got into baseball. His side thing was cars.
When did you first realize that you wanted to get into racing and get on the track?
I think that was back when I was maybe 12 or 13. I got into racing sim stuff a little more heavily around that age.
The sim racing came into play. He was memorizing all the tracks all over the place. We didn't know how much he was memorizing it until we actually took him to a track.
The amount of muscle memory you learn on the sim really translates well to the real thing. So once I got into an actual car when I was 16, it kind of clicked for me. As far as pro racing goes, I started out incredibly late, but because of all the work I did on the sim, it was a pretty easy transition to the real thing. And
right, you kind of caught up to everybody else.
Yeah, guys that have been doing the real thing for years, I was able to get up to pace pretty quick against them.
The coolest part for us as sponsors, and you and your family are just, it's so unique to see your mom and dad being your race team and you guys just having a good time, and everybody looks to you guys as their track family, so it's really cool to see.
It doesn't get talked about enough how much of a team sport racing is too, because like my parents, everyone from Al's Auto Body, like all of our employees and stuff, there's such a huge part in making all this happen in general.
We would watch him play baseball. We just sit on the sidelines and just watch the game.
Yeah.
You're not involved. With the racing, we're part of the team.
We understand.
You know, and then
we
everybody
get
that
what all the car guys are doing.
the most fun I have with it is just the people walking by.
Yeah. People
And then
watching.
they stop and
It's
look at
cool.
the car, and we meet a lot of people.
So what was your first track car?
My first track car, you can call it a track car. It was my daily in high school. It was Audi A6 4.2. That was the car I did my first autocross in, my first track days. My first track day was actually at Autobahn Country Club. There's a lot of memories of that track. I progressed into an Audi S4.
The S4, now it's called Loudy.
Very plain.
And then
very cute.
he really got into it and he started becoming a better driver. So with that car, I think we did it the right way. We started off with suspension, tires, brakes,
Ground up.
ground up. Then as he became a better driver, we made it a little bit faster, a little bit better.
He started to feel the car.
Better suspension,
yes.
aero, and I think it was a great learning tool for us as a racing team and for him as a driver, because if you learn how to drive a slow car fast,
Yep.
you can drive anything.
We built it over the course of like 4 or 5 years, and it progressed from something very mild to a car that you really shouldn't be driving on the street.
But it gets to a point where you just want to be competitive. The Audi just wasn't a competitive car. It was a great mid-class car. The three of us as a family started looking at different vehicles as a platform.
I know you were between a few choices when you went to pick out a car for Time Attack. What made you choose the AMG?
So, honestly, the first choice for doing like a new Time Attack build was the new Z. I was really thinking about that car for a couple of reasons. I mean, like it was kind of like the new hot performance car and stuff. But then I figured out that in order to make that a competitive Time Attack car, it would take a ton of work just to get it up to the pace of street mod. So I figured start out with a platform that's still unique like the Z, because you're not really seeing a ton of Zs right now.
Right.
But a car that could also be brought up to pace relatively easily.
We noticed by talking to Abe at Grid Life, people just pick out their favorite car to build into a Time Attack car. And that's not always the best thing to do. So he said, you know, Rich, nobody ever like picks a car out specifically to do Time Attack with.
And
So
there's a
that
lot of
was-
cars out there that you can do.
Yeah,
Just
that was kind of a
grab-
challenge for
yeah.
us at that point. And we started going down the list on the pros and the cons of the different cars. And then we saw how much money we actually put into the Audi to make it do what it's doing. And it was ridiculous, like mind-blowing. That's when we came up with the AMG.
The AMG is already a pretty solid track car to begin with, and then you just add all the right components to it, do the right tuning, and it's a car that can really be competitive out of the box.
It's almost like a cheat code. Because you take the car and you put it on the track the first time, and it's just amazing.
So what all have you done to the car so far?
We're upgraded to pure 900 turbos, which is like a hybrid turbo setup, so the housing is changed. Suspension-wise, we're in KW competition coilovers, which for me, that's like my favorite mod on this car, because it made the biggest difference as far as the handling goes.
Okay.
We have a Berkline tubular subframe that helped stiffen up the front end. It actually dropped the weight from the stock subframe by 20 pounds. That's actually a pretty big difference, especially changing one part out like that. And then it stiffens up the front end, and thankfully it keeps our stock mounting points, so you can stay legal for Grid Life Street Mod, which is the class this car is built for. And then APR made us a really great aero package for this car, so a fully custom front splitter that goes on it. We're not running it right now because it's a little too low for the street, but it works great on track. And then we got a GTC 500 wing from APR, which makes a ton of downforce. Then we also have endless brake pads and Geodisc rotors that thankfully Speed Freaks hooked us up with. They're a great company that really helps us out a lot with a lot of the stuff on this car. Studio RSR roll cage. It's actually a full chromoly, and it bolts in too. The fit was amazing. Really happy
I mean, it
with
looks
that.
like it should be there for the factory.
I mean, in my opinion, it really should be. And there's a few AMGs that are like that, but the GTS never got that treatment. Right now, we're running on full 93 octane regular road car gas. But the cool part is, Fuel Lab right now is making us a brand new fuel pump for this car, so we can run a full race gas setup and actually go for some even bigger power levels. Because believe it or not, right now, this 700 horsepower they're at right now is on a very low end of what this car can actually make. So once we get that fuel pump in there, the sky's the limit as far as the kind of power we can get on this thing.
We just have scratched the surface of the platform, and we've got probably $20,000 less into that car than we did the Audi.
Cal got into that car, he felt comfortable. Having that Audi in front of it, again, just made this car so much easier to get in there and to say, hey, I can do this.
We were talking to him, and I think he explains this to a lot of other people. With the Audi, you had to politely ask it to do something. He said with the Mercedes, you just tell it what to do. And I think that was the easiest way that he could describe it to me.
It really just clicked for me. When it comes to being in a car and just driving at the limit on track, it's just the time that I feel the most comfortable. It sounds kind of funny to say you feel comfortable like driving at insane speeds on a racetrack, but
But that's when you're
really
in your
is.
zone.
Yeah. Everything just kind of slows down.
I don't like riding in the car with him. I do not.
He likes to try to scare me.
Oh, he does scare me. The last time I took a serious ride with him was in the Audi. We were at Road America. We're going straight, and he's gaining speed, brake markers. Like, okay, it's a sign that says basically stop, you idiot. Brake marker goes by, brake marker goes by, brake marker goes by. Now it's the last brake marker. He stuffs the brake, I fly forward, he cranks the wheel, I fly sideways, and then he floors it. And then he finishes off the lap, and we get off, and I tell him, don't you ever do that with me again. He said, Dad, you built the car, trust the arrow. I said, no.
Trust the process, Dad.
And I mean, he's a great driver, and I shouldn't feel like that, but yeah, I'm not riding with him.
Right now you have the AMG. Is there a dream car that you'd like to own next?
You know, I think as far as dream cars go, I would love to get like a 911 GT3 RS. I know it's not like the fastest car in the world, but they're incredibly fun, and I think everything about that car is amazing. Like the fact that it's just designed with the enthusiast in mind. Like it's a car that is completely at home on track. They sound amazing. It's pretty much a track car from the factory. I've just always wanted to own one of those.
And then right now this is your race car / daily driver, but you do have a couple other cars at home.
Yeah, I mean, daily is kind of a stretch with this one, but no, I do street drive it quite a bit. My current daily right now is an 890 Supra. And so far, I'm very happy with it as a daily. It's a lot of fun. It's fast enough for the street. I really don't have any plans to upgrade the power a ton with that because, like, I'm a big believer that you can have too much power to have a fun street car. Like, for instance, this car is incredibly fun on track, but it's kind of borderline too much power to actually have fun with it on the street because it's way too fast. With the Supra, though, you can kind of rev it out. You can go full throttle for a bit and not really have to worry about committing a felony on the street, which is always a good thing.
So right now you're part of Grid Life's Time Attack series. In your mind, where would you like to see your next step of racing go to?
See, I actually get this question a lot, and I don't think I'm ever going to fully stop doing Grid Life. I do have plans and ambitions to race in stuff like IMSA. It's a dream of mine to race in the 24 Hours of Le Mans someday with the WEC, stuff like that, endurance racing. So that's definitely a goal of mine maybe within the next 10 years. But like I said, I'm really happy with the progress Grid Life is making in motorsport. And I think they have a really good message behind their events too, and just everything about them. I think in a lot of ways, what Grid Life is doing right now is the future of racing. I always want to be a part of that. Even if I branch off to do whatever pro racing series there is at the time, I'm always going to still do a few Grid Life events out of the season just because I really never want to leave that family there. It's been cool to kind of grow alongside them as a series and just kind of see everything progress year by year.
Cal, thanks for joining us.
For sure.
I want to thank the Fortners and Cal for letting us use the GTS to make it look like new. A lot of the products you saw us use are available at all major automotive retailers as well as Amazon, so check them out for yourself. See you next time on 303 Car Care.